Very good morning, children. How are you? My dear children, yesterday we had a very great discussion on a very important topic of English grammar, which is active and passive voice. Yesterday we learned so many things in this chapter. We learned about voice, its two kinds, active and passive. Also, we learned the basic part of sentence like subject, verb and object along with most of the rule and regulations, which is very much important for this topic, active and passive voice. Now, today, my dear students, we will learn that how we can convert a sentence from active voice to passive voice. Okay, let's see. First of all, students, we need to know the various tenses because sentence will be based on the particular tenses, and then we will know how we can convert that particular sentence according to the tenses from active to passive. My dear children, there are basically three groups of tense: the present tense, past tense and future tense. Present tense, past tense and future tense. First of all, we need to discuss about present tense. We need to discuss about present tense. My dear children, in the group of present tense, there are three different tense which is very much important to convert active to passive is based on. Let's see. The first one is present indefinite. Present indefinite. The other one is present continuous, and the next one is present perfect. Okay, my dear children, in this class we will learn that those sentences which is based on these present tense and the kind of these three present tense, how we will convert that from active to passive. So my dear student, first of all we will discuss about the present indefinite tense. Present indefinite, or you can also say simple present tense as well. Okay, present indefinite. My dear children, before take you to the present indefinite, I want to tell you that a sentence must need a subject, along with the subject, a verb and an object. Okay. Whenever we are talking about a verb, there are basically two kinds of verb comes first, an auxiliary verb and the other one is helping verb. Okay. Why I am discussing about verb right now? We will see whenever we will convert the sentences based on particular groups. So my dear children, in the present indefinite, we will discuss about the sentences which will be based on basically two groups. The first one will be affirmative. Affirmative. And the another one will be interrogative, which we will discuss later. Right now, first of all, I am going to discuss about the affirmative group, which is in present indefinite. So first of all, I am going to write the active structure for affirmative group. There will be subject, then we will use the first form of verb, and we can also use the fifth form of verb in the active voice of present indefinite tense. And then we will use given object. My dear student, when we will use verb 1 and when we will use the fifth form of verb, it will be completely depends on the subject. Okay? Now, let's see some of the example. He writes a letter. He writes a letter. In this sentence, there is he. It is a pronoun and it is a subject in this sentence. Writes. Writes is a verb which is in the fifth form of verb, and a letter is a object. So this sentence, he writes a letter, is in active verb, active voice. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write a passive structure for present indefinite tense. Passive structure. Okay, there will be object will comes first. After the object, we will use as an auxiliary verb is, am, and are. Okay, after that we will use the third form of verb, as I have already told you in the previous classes that whenever we will convert any sentence in the passive voice, we must need to use the third form of verb. Then after we will put by, and we will use the doer of an action in a particular sentence. Okay, my dear children, there will be object, after that is, am, are, then there will be the third form of verb, after that we will use by, and then after we will use doer. So let's see the other example for this one. I'm not going to write any other sentence. I'm just going to convert the same sentence that I have written in the active example. I will just convert the same sentence into passive. So the conversion into passive will be, the object will come first, a letter, and a letter is singular, so we will use the auxiliary verb also singular. A letter is, after that the third form of write will be written. A letter is written. I will use by. Who is writing the letter? Who is the doer? He. And he, when we will convert it into passive voice, it will be converted as him. A letter is written by him. It's a passive structure for present indefinite tense. Now, over here the affirmative comes over, and now I will talk about interrogative sentences in the same group of simple present or present indefinite. Interrogative. Interrogative. In the interrogative, let me write the formula for active voice. There will be the auxiliary verb will comes first whenever we will write any sentence into interrogative, and the auxiliary verb we will use for interrogative section in simple present or present indefinite will be do, either, does. It completely depends on the kinds of subject we will use. Do or does plus subject plus we will use the first form of verb over here. Then after we will put a proper object along with a sign of interrogation. Okay, my dear student, let's see an example. Do the grocer sell the rice? Do the grocer sell the rice? Now I am going to write the passive structure for interrogative group of present indefinite, and the structure will be is, am, are as an auxiliary verb. Then after I will use object. Then after I will use V3 form of verb. It means third form of verb. Then after I will use by and doer along with sign of interrogation. Sign of interrogation. Now, my dear student, let's see the example that how I will convert the example of active voice into passive voice. The example was, do the grocer sell the rice? When I will convert it into passive voice, the same sentence will be transformed as the rice will be the object over here. So, and it is a singular, so I will write is the rice. The third form of sell will be sold by, and the doer will be who? The grocer. The grocer. Okay, my dear children, over here the first form of simple present tense comes over. Now I am going to discuss on another group, which is present continuous. I am going to discuss about present continuous. Present continuous. Okay, my dear children, in this sentence we will do the same thing. We will first of all we will discuss about the sentence which will be based on affirmative, and after that we will discuss about those sentences which will be based on interrogative. Okay, so first of all I am going to write the sentence which is based on affirmative. Affirmative. And first of all I will write the structure of active voice for present continuous. Let's say there will be subject, then we will use is, am, are as an auxiliary verb. Then after we will use the fourth form of verb over here. My dear children, fourth form of verb also known as ing form, or it is also known as present in. You can also use present participle. Okay, and after that we will put object. Now this is the structure of active voice for affirmative in present continuous. Okay, let's see some of the examples. Like, the teacher is punishing the student. The teacher is punishing the student. My dear children, over here punish is a verb, and when we are using the fourth form of verb, the ing will be added by default to any verb. Okay, like if somebody is telling read, then it will be reading, teach, teaching, write, writing. Okay, in the same way punish will becomes punishing. Okay, now I am writing the structure for passive. In passive, my dear children, object will comes first. Object will comes first. After that, we will use the same auxiliary verb is, am, are. Then after, I will use being. Then we need to use the third form of verb. Third form of verb, as I have already told you, in the passive voice we always use third form verb. Then we will use by, and then doer. Okay, let's see example, my dear children. In this sentence, the object will be the student. So let me write the student, and now the student is singular, so I will use the auxiliary verb also singular, is. The student is. After that I need to write being. The student is being. The verb was punish, and the third form punish will be punished. punished by, and the person who performs an action is the teacher, who will become the doer over here, the teacher. It means the student is being punished by the teacher. Over here, the affirmative for present continuous gets over, and now I am going to discuss about an interrogative. Interrogative form for active voice. For active voice. In the interrogative group, first of all, there will be an auxiliary verb like is, am, are. After that, my children, we will place subject. Then we will use the same form of verb like before, and after that there will be object along with sign of interrogation. Okay, let's see example. Is the teacher punishing the student? Is the teacher punishing the student? Now, let me write its passive structure. Passive. Its passive form will be, my dear students, same auxiliary verb will comes first before the subject to make the sentence an interrogative sentence. Is, am, are. After that, we need to use the proper object. Then, being. After that, the third form of verb will be applied over here. Then, we will use by, and we'll find and place the proper doer along with the interrogative sign. Okay. Now, my dear children, let's see the example. The same, the student will be the object over here, but before the object, I need to place an appropriate auxiliary verb. Over here, I will place is the student being punished by the teacher? Is the student being punished by the teacher? My dear children, I have already told you, whenever I am writing any interrogative statement or any interrogative sentence, the auxiliary verb will comes first before the subject. Okay, now over here the simple present tense we have already done, and now the present continuous also gets over. Now it's time to move for the next one, which is present perfect. Present perfect tense. Okay, my dear children, now we will talk about the sentence which will be based on present perfect tense. Okay, and as you already know that we will use the same rule and regulations also over here. First of all, we will discuss about the group of affirmative. Okay, now let me write the structure for affirmative group of present perfect tense for active voice. The structure will be subject will comes first, and my dear children, over here in present perfect, the auxiliary verb which we will use will be have and has, and their use is completely depends on, you already know, the subject. In this we will use the third form of verb. The third form of verb we will use over here with the correct object. It is the structure of active voice in the affirmative group for present perfect tense. Now, let's see, or let's take an example. My mother has written this letter. Dear children, concentrate over here. My mother has. Why has over here? Because my mother is singular. That's why I have written, or I have applied has as an auxiliary verb for the subject my mother. Written. The third form of verb I need to use over here. That's why I have written, and the object is this letter. Now, let me write the passive form or passive structure for this. The passive structure will be object, where comes first, object, then after I need to use the same auxiliary verb according to the subject, have or has. After that I need to use been over here. Then after I will use V3. As you already know, the third form of verb always been used whenever we are converting into passive voice. And after that I will use by and the appropriate doer. Okay, my dear children. Now let's convert the same sentence into passive voice. The sentence was, my mother has written this letter. I think now you are completely able to convert it by yourself. This letter will be the object first of all over here. This letter I just placed as an object. Now you have to choose what auxiliary verb will be applied over here, have or has. Obviously there will be has because this letter is singular. So this letter has been. You already know written. Written by whom? By my mother. So I need to place my mother on the place of doer. Okay, now the next one that we need to discuss over here is in the group of interrogative for present perfect. Okay, my dear children, now let me discuss the group of interrogative for present perfect tense. Okay, my dear children, in this group for present perfect, let me take or let me write the structure for active voice. As you already know, whenever we are writing any interrogative sentence, the auxiliary verb will always comes before the subject. So first of all I need to write have or has. You already know, as per the rule concerned and as per the subject will be, we need to use subject. According to the subject we can use have or has. After that we will put proper subject, then we will use the third form of verb over here, and then I will place an object along with the sign of interrogation. Let's see the example. Has my mother written this letter? Has my mother written this letter? And now I need to write the passive structure. After that we can easily convert it into passive voice. Now the passive structure will be have, either has, will come before a subject or object. Then after I need to place object. After that we will use been over here. Then we will use the same third form of verb. After that, I need to put by, and then after I need to place a proper doer over here along with the sign of interrogation. Let's see the example once again. Here the first example was for the interrogative of present perfect. Has my mother written this letter? Has my mother written this letter? So the passive voice will be has replaced before the subject. So has this letter been written by my mother? It will be, my dear student, the right way that we can convert any sentence from active to passive. If the sentence is based on present tense or any group of present tense like simple present, present perfect or present continuous, we can convert these sentences into active to passive voice. Okay, my dear children, let me tell you once again, if you will find any kind of problem or if you want to ask any questions or any doubt if you have, you can call us, you can contact us, or if you want, you can comment your question in our video classes. Okay,